must be nice not to have to pay rent, pay for your food, shit on the floor.
What's the name of our podcast? It's been so long.
It's the Fresh Off the Press.
Yeah. Welcome back to Fresh Off the Press.
Yeah, nice intro.
Yeah, just
Very nice intro. I think you should take over that.
that just goes to show you like how my brain works. Like if I have so much stuff on my mind, I'll literally forget my own name. Like it's just the thing. But I'm also just as good at remembering like shit that you did back in like
Of course.
Sorry,
you never
in
forget,
2009.
You never forget anything that you don't want to forget. It's always that. If you don't want to forget it, you don't forget it. But if you choose to forget it, Nate's wrong.
Nate's always wrong.
Correct.
What did you learn from that show?
Is that you're always right, and no matter what, I'm always wrong. And
when
you're wrong, I'm wrong, and you're right. Period.
Oh, wow. Okay, wow. So much is...
Yeah, we're back. We are back. We're back from Sweden.
We're back from a lot of stuff. Wow, it's been... When did we do that last podcast with Kyle? So that
was the regional... It was in one of the Carolinas, I think. I can't remember.
Where were we? Oh my gosh.
It was close to him, I think, because he only drove like 45 minutes to an hour.
Which regional was that?
Well, we were bowling on the pattern that I won on in a different center. The one in Spring Hill. The one in Spring Hill that I won on.
I remember where we were.
I really don't know.
Oh my god, I remember where
Was it Mooresville?
No, because Mooresville is where I flew in.
No, you're right.
Oh my god, where were we?
I don't know, but he only had to drive an hour and change.
Oh my god, I hate that I can't remember this, but yeah, anyway, so that was the last time. We've had so much happen since then.
Yeah.
We did want to start doing these like weekly, but things have been so hectic. Like I think during that same period of time, we decided to like move. Like we were gonna stay with Nate's parents for a little bit longer, and then we just kind of decided that in order to like do this and like do a little bit more of our content creation without being in the way of everyone, because his parents work from home, we were like, oh, let's get a place. So then, of course, knowing me and Nate, that had to be a hassle. It was like a 3-week ordeal.
Yeah. I mean, just our life is always crazy. So,
dude, I'm telling you, like HD, TV, TLC, like whatever you like, reach out to us, because I swear to God, like we don't
need
even
our own show. You
don't even need to like script us. Like I always joked about it. And I feel like Nate always just kind of laughed and was like, ha ha ha. But like now that we've been together 8 years, I think he honestly like can see that I'm always like, I cannot make up the shit that happens to me.
No.
It just like happens. It's not even like drama. It's just like stuff that you're like, I can't believe.
You would think we're scripting it on purpose.
Yeah, like it would just, yeah, I just don't know. But so like, of course, this last week was nothing short of that. And do you want to talk about that first? Like.
Yeah, I mean...
Nate's traumatized?
It's obviously, so that was the first time I've ever been overseas besides when we went to go bowl in Mexico for that one tournament, but I really don't count that.
Which, oh wait, I have to like preface this that this all happened at the tournament that we can't remember where we were. When Kyle was like talking to me, I was like, hey, what do you got going on next? And he's like, yeah, I got this and that, and then the Lucky Larson's kind of like my last stop before... the PBA League, and I was like, you know what? I forgot about that tournament. I always forget because we're coaching during that time, so it's never like an option.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna like look and see how much flights are and get Nate to go.
Yeah.
So like, of course, when I went up to Nate, those of you who like know Nate a little bit better know that like he's not the adventurous type. Like he likes, like I'm normally the one like dragging him, and then he ends up liking it. But it's normally like a fight to that point. So this was nonetheless of that, where he was like, no, I'm not going. I don't want to go. And then when I kind of like warmed him up to the idea, and we were supposed to go to Paris, we never really publicly said that. But I was more bummed, like obviously that whatever Nate's about to tell you happened. but that we didn't get to go to Paris. So after all of that, I got Nate to go. And
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, it was really cool to go out of the country, see a different country, just take in the world, really. And yeah, so we get on the plane. 17 hours later, we finally end up in Sweden, and luckily we ran into Don Barrett, and he helped us get around everywhere, because
Yeah.
if we were by ourselves, we wouldn't know what the heck to do.
Yeah, like shout out to him
So,
before Nate kind of like roasts him here because like to be fair, like it was easy, but our first time being there, there's no way even me, like Nate's completely geographically inclined, like there's no helping him, which is fine. And I'm normally pretty good, but like like their airport's kind of confusing, especially how the airports like line up with the train tracks and there's all this stuff like obviously like where we live we've never had to take trains
yeah,
or like public transportation. I
right,
don't mind it, but like trying to like understand everything and like they speak English there, but
yeah.
I would never have
Just
been
not
able
where
to
we
find.
landed. Where we
Yeah,
landed, they really don't speak English.
yeah, but I would never have been able to find that, so like if
No.
Dom wasn't there we would have
Yeah.
definitely been
So we ran into Dom and his friend, and, getting over to Copenhagen, right? Copenhagen?
no, yeah, we went from Copenhagen
Copenhagen to Helsingborg?
Helsingborg.
Helsingborg. Yeah, so we went over that way, no problems. And once we got there, I didn't want to be that guy, but I was pretty tired and I wanted to go to sleep or just hang out in the hotel.
And I didn't want to tell, like, with Nate having to bowl the next day, I didn't want to be like, yeah, I just want to go to bed. Like, I didn't, like, we were both thinking the same thing, but neither one of us said it out loud. And
I would have given everything to rethink that decision and just say, but next time I'm just going with my gut and I'm going to be the party pooper and I don't care what
yeah,
anyone says. But, anyways, so we were going to go to the bowling center to check it out. And then, we were 500 feet from the bowling center. We were taking scooters up there because we thought that was the only way of transportation. And we get to a curb, and I thought I could just go over the curb because it wasn't very high at all. And the scooter did not make it over the curb, but I made it over the curb. I flew over the scooter and the curb and landed on my arms to protect my face. And yeah, and
I
then
think
we
now
ended
you
up
wish that your face was.
I wish that I would have just went to bed, to be honest with you. I could have waited 8 hours to see the bowling center.
For me, kind of going back to like how Nate's not very good with geography, I wanted someone else to like show us like where it was because I was worried that like with him having to bowl because it was like 4. So I was like worried that with him having bowl at 9 a.m., I was going to be like panicked trying to get him to the center because he likes to be there so much early that I was like, okay, like let's just go to the bowling center, have Dom show us where it is so I can like get us there early enough the next morning. That's kind of where my mind was, is I was like, okay, Nate's going to already be panicked because we're in a new country, like trying to get ready to bowl. We just got off a flight. Like it would be nice to have someone to show me how to get there. So like,
I get that, but
yeah.
I'm definitely gonna take over and be a party pooper next time. So, and then we spent the next 2 days in a Swedish hospital, and it was great. They put me in a knockoff cast, splint, whatever. That started to bother me after a couple days, and
Yeah, I had to cut it off.
yeah,
He
found
looks
out.
like a mummy.
Yeah, found out that we had a displacement fracture in my left arm, and the right arm's fine. But the pain just got worse and worse as we were there, and then they said they were gonna do surgery, but I needed to extend my stay. So after going back and forth a little bit, I told them that I would extend my stay, and then they're like, "Yeah, no." And I'm like, "What do you mean no? Like, you just told me that I could extend my stay. You did surgery here, we'd be fine." And then they're like, "No, we're not obligated to work on you because you're not a citizen of this country." So
Oh,
after
that's so
that, I was
frustrating.
livid, and like I said in like prior videos, Kyle Troop was very gracious enough to get us home very quickly, help us out with that process. So
Yeah.
we got home
And
After that phone call,
like
we got
if
home the
Jesper
next
wasn't
day.
so like helpful
Yeah,
too,
Jesper
like
was great too.
obviously they speak English there, but
Yeah,
it's like they're very nice about it. Like, oh, you're English, cool, but like there is still that little like translation of like
yeah,
I guess tone maybe.
maybe.
So like I was like telling Jesper, I was like, can you just try to like at least bring Nate over to the hospital because maybe they think I'm being a Karen.
Yeah,
Because I feel like other countries they like we actually met some friends on the train and they like see Americans as Karens because we're very like Europe's so different and like the way they like and
yeah,
talk to each other, how they interact. So like I just thought maybe the hospital thought I was like, oh, I'm American, like
right.
do this now. But it was like trying to just make them understand that like, kind of going back to everything, like we just moved. Like
Yeah,
that's a new expense. Like so I'm like, look, I just need answers to know like I'm obviously also having to take care of him, so like I'm not able to do as much as I would as well,
yeah,
so I'm like I just need an answer, like is he going to be done for like 3 months, like is he going to be done for a couple weeks, like that was my frustration. And so like Jesper was nice enough to go and kind of talk to them in Swedish and like kind
yeah,
of make them understand things, I guess, from knowing that we're just not some dumb
yeah,
Americans like requesting stuff. And
yeah,
but they were really nice,
yeah.
like I
They were great.
can't.
Yeah, the people at the hospital were pretty nice, and I mean Jesper, if he wasn't there, like with me at the hospital, and him and Kyle came to visit one night, bring us food, like it was
Yeah.
amazing. On top of that, um, Daniel and Martin Larson
And Patrick.
and Patrick, they were very helpful.
Yeah.
Um,
We got to
you
ride
know,
in the BMW
yeah,
and
very
their
cool
Teslas over
BMW,
there.
like another Tesla. So it was awesome. The tournament ran great.
They didn't know that was secretly our plan. Was we're like, all right, how are we
Yeah,
gonna ride in this BMW before the end of the week?
right. So, but yeah, it was still awesome, even though I didn't really get to bowl. But
I didn't.
now we're in the recovery process and we're doing just fine.
I didn't
It's
tell them about like the funniest part of all this. That I
I
like.
don't know if there's much funny about
No,
this
the part where
trip.
I'm supposed to be there for you, and I didn't even. They don't know about that yet. Like,
What do you mean, the plane?
yeah, the plane.
Yeah, no, the plane. That's a.
Elise had to like. I had to be the
It's
center of
it's not,
attention.
yeah, of
Like, I
course.
couldn't
It's
let
not a
Nate.
it's not a story unless Elise is the center of attention and makes it about her, even though I was completely immobile. So this is go ahead, tell the people.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just.
please.
Oh my god, looking back on it, I hate this because like I truly like I told Nate like I never wanted you to like feel what I went through. And so then I'm like, "Oh my god, like I hate that this is happening to him." So obviously we finally get everything where we're going back to the States, and I have like a lot of flight anxiety, but it has been better. But I did do really well on this flight over there, but I figured I would cuz like the bigger planes, like it's just like a lot different on the planes you fly that are like overseas, cuz once you get up in the air it's just like pretty much smooth sailing. So I did really good. So like I was just like kind of like, "Oh my god, we're finally going home. He can get taken care of." Like I was like we were on the last flight from Frankfurt to Tampa, straight flight. So it was like 12 hours, like 11 hours, 50 minutes. I go to the bathroom like an hour in because I was like, I actually got a little nap in right before we took off because we had stayed up all night before.
She
Cause,
loves to do this to me,
no,
by
okay,
the way.
first off, Nate told me we were going to land at 9. So I was like, all right, well, then we're going to have to stay up because of the time difference.
But she still loves to do this.
I didn't do it on purpose. When you tell me we're landing at 9, I'm like, okay, cool, we can land at 9 and go straight to sleep. But anyway, so yeah, I'm like, okay, on the flight, whatever. Go to the bathroom, and I'm just like done with the bathroom, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm like, all right, like this was the longest flight I had taken, by the way. Like, you know what? It's probably no, it's probably similar to what I took in Australia, but like it's been a long time. So I was like, okay, cool. Looking in the mirror, trying to just calm myself down, and I'm like, take a deep couple breaths, and I literally just kind of like. And I swear to God, it felt like my head fell off of my body, like into my, like, I can't explain the feeling because, like, my back injury was pretty bad. Like, I instantly couldn't move, which I understood because I was lifting weights. So I was like, okay, like, it's understandable that I hurt myself. But, like, I literally took a breath.
Knocked.
As his grandma would say, I took a breathe.
Yep.
And I
Knocked.
literally lost my eyesight and my hearing. Like, it felt like a plane was just, like, landing, but, like, to silence. And I was just like, oh my God, like, I'm not going to make it to my seat. And, like, I knew we hadn't been far in the air, so I like looked down the aisle. The lady's in the middle of the cart, and I'm like standing in the middle, like between like on international flights they have like the middle section where there's like bathrooms too, so I was standing in between like where our section was and like the section below, and I'm like looking back trying to see if there's seats available to sit down because I was like about to faint. And then I was like, oh my god, should I go tell the flight attendant, like should we turn around, because like it was that bad, like I felt like I was gonna puke, faint, like everything at the same time. Meanwhile, I got my little T-Rex fiance sitting in his seat, so he can't help me if I fall.
I
Like
mean, I could definitely figure out a way to pick you up, but
he wouldn't even you wouldn't have even seen me because the
yeah, I
cart
saw
lady
you
was there.
standing back there, but I'm just
I
like,
was panicked. Like I
yeah,
saw you kept looking back, and I was like literally like, oh my god, like I whatever. Luckily there was a seat, and I was like I gotta sit down, and I sat down, and I did start to feel a little bit better, but yeah, the neck pain is just it was horrible. So for I get back to the seat with Nate. He
in
looks at me, and
in
I'm
tears.
trying.
She's in tears.
I was trying to hold it back because I was like, all right, he's like, he needs to have his moment. And I'm like, maybe the pain, like in my head, I was like, okay, maybe the pain will subside in a couple of minutes. Like it was just like the initial shock. So I was like, I don't need to tell him that I'm in pain. And then it just like was getting worse and worse. It's like, it literally felt like someone stabbed a knife down my spinal cord. And I finally just was like crying, and it was like laughter because I knew Nate would be like, what the hell? But
Yeah.
I was also like feeling bad that like I couldn't be there for him. So yeah, the next 11 hours, I look at the flight thing and it's like 59 minutes, and I'm like, and here we go. And then it says we have 10 hours left, and I'm just like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah.
so
It
yeah,
wasn't
so
the most
we,
pleasant ride back because she was in pain, but the flight itself was fine. But
we go,
yeah, of course, it wouldn't be a story if it wasn't, for both of us getting hurt or one of us breaking a leg or Elise going into a coma. Like,
it was funny. I was trying to get the bags off the thing because Nate could only use the one arm, and then I couldn't bend over, so it was like him dragging it
we
off the
were a
belt and
circus
me like,
show.
and of course they checked. Like, thank God. Oh my God, thank God they checked our extra bags when
Oh,
we were
yeah,
in
for sure.
Copenhagen, because like the European rules.
And flying
'cause-
internationally, the bags are way cheaper.
yeah,
Way cheaper. We checked 3 bowling ball bags in for $100.
yeah. It
And I
was.
know on Southwest they're free, but still, like,
I don't know if we just got lucky, but they like checked all of our bags because there's no way after I hurt my neck I would have been able to carry all that stuff when we got to Frankfurt. Or sorry, like after we got to Frankfurt, coming through customs, it was just so yeah. We both went straight to the ER.
yep,
Checked
went straight to the
ourselves.
ER in Tampa.
We were famous.
And
We were the couple
yeah.
from different areas that he would tell, like, "Oh yeah, my fiance's over there," and I'd be like, "Yeah, my fiance's over there," and they're like, "Oh, that's your fiance in the
Yep.
cast."
Yep, exactly.
So it was kind of
spent 7 hours in the ER
Yeah,
in
we left-
Tampa after a 13-hour, 17-hour travel day.
yeah.
And yeah, we finally got some answers, and we're good to go now. But of course, it had to be a crazy story.
Yeah, it's
Can't just be
not-
simple, right?
No.
Can't just
I
be
mean,
simple.
luckily my pain is like better. It's still hurting a lot where I'm like trying to be careful the motions I make. Trying to see if I can bowl. I am supposed to bowl the regional in Minnesota. Hopefully I have a week. So I mean like I'm feeling better. I still have like 6 days. So I mean I'm not gonna lose my bowling in 6 days. It is gonna be
No, it'd
rough.
be after, wouldn't it?
What
It's
do you
not
mean?
next weekend.
Yeah, it's next weekend.
It is next
yeah,
weekend?
so I have like this weekend and the whole week, yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, I gotta see how the
Yeah.
next couple days go, and if I was planning on practicing today, but
Yeah.
I was still kind
Things
of
got
sore.
cut.
I didn't sleep that well, but I'm
But
trying
again,
to.
shout out to Martin Larson, the entire Lucky Larson staff for, doing what they did. Fantastic tournament.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, like another level. Like,
Oh my God. I mean,
I mean, the
the
PBA.
intro, I know you guys probably saw like our reel that we posted of the intro.
So cool.
I wanted to run through a brick wall, and I wasn't even bowling. I thought it was so cool. The setup, the bowling center is beautiful.
Yeah.
The staff's amazing. The food there is great. If you want the best steak sandwich of your
Oh my
life,
God.
go
We,
there.
like, we
I
pretty
will
much
eat it
just-
every single day
pretty much
when
did.
we go there again next year. Like, it's happening, $17 a rip, but It's
That's so
so
good.
good.
The only disappointment, honestly, like me and Nate don't drink soda anymore, but like we love a
God, the
good
sodas there
Sprite.
are awful. But it's
Yeah,
like American
no,
sodas,
yeah,
it's just not as good. But that's okay. I don't need to drink soda.
it's because of
Their
all the
water
sugar.
is crack. Their water is amazing. Like, you could take a shower and drink the water coming out of the shower. It's that good. Like, I loved it. I
Yeah,
love the
it was
water.
funny to see you like every single
All I
day.
need is their
Just
water.
give me the water,
Just give me
every
the water
water, all
with
the water.
ice, and we're good. It was
Yeah,
amazing.
no, like I really wish that they had more tournaments like that in the States with like the squads. Like it's cool to obviously where everyone kind of has like I know that they kind of stopped doing it in the States for the PBA Tour for squad equity, but I feel like every squad like they kind of played similar. Like there was no squads where like as people kept bowling, obviously people would bowl better because they had bowled on it, they knew what to do, they used the right bowling ball. So that's always going to be a factor when you have extra squads. But I think it was perfect where I know Martin did a lot of work for the pattern to make sure
He
that
did.
everything was in play, and it
Yeah.
truly was. Like, I think that was the coolest thing to see that, like, the women could compete, the men could compete in the right and the left side. It didn't matter if you had, like,
Yep.
the
It
biggest rev
wasn't a
rate.
urethane fest.
Yeah, it wasn't a urethane fest. And I think that more tournaments should run like that where you do squads and like there's so much more money and more entries that get put into the prize fund and every squad was full. Like
Yep. Every squad was dang near full. I mean, when I signed up, I could only get two originally. I could only get two squads originally, and then, you know, as days got closer and closer, and people started to bowl, and then when I started to travel, I got into a couple more. So I was going over there, ending up being able to bowl six, which was awesome.
yeah, that was kind
Um,
of his like when we first were talking about going, he was kind of bummed because he's
I
like,
could only
oh,
get in like two or three.
so we were kind of going over there with the expectation it was more of like a vacation.
Right.
And if whatever he got to bowl like regardless because this was kind of more of our downtime. September's kind of like slow for bowling. In our schedule at least. So, yeah, we were kind of already going over with that expectation. And yeah, I don't know. Like, I just, like, honestly, like,
Yeah.
I'm so excited to get myself together to bowl next year. Just because, like, the bowling center was so cool. And
Oh, yeah.
they have, like, an upstairs
Yep,
lounge.
that you
And
can watch bowling from up top, play
yeah,
darts. It was,
I'm really surprised more guys from the States don't go over. Like, I
yeah, it
know
was
people
awesome. But
have.
yeah, I'll definitely be back.
Yeah, and everything was super cheap. Like
yeah,
it wasn't our money I know is worth a little bit more over there right now.
but it's
like
not super expensive.
yeah, but overall like things weren't I feel like in America we're still kind of dealing with after COVID where companies over here are like still outpricing a lot of things cuz they can.
Yeah,
Over there it seems like they're kind of I don't know what their prices ever looked like, but it does seem like they're more like reasonably priced, like nothing like that steak sandwich could have easily been like
oh, in the
25
States it could be
$28.
$25 easily.
Yeah, like easily that would have been a $25 sandwich.
Yeah,
Because it wasn't just like the steak, like the way they prepared it with the cheese on the bread, and like it was like, what's that? The green stuff that was on it. It's not kale. Oh my god, I can't remember what
Spinach.
it is. No, it wasn't spinach. I can't remember.
Wasn't it?
No, I can't remember the name of it right now.
Some kind of lettuce texture. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I know what it is, and I can't remember what it's called right now.
But it was good.
It's
Don't matter.
yeah,
It was good.
it was
With
so
the
good.
sauce.
But yeah, like obviously their food over there in general is just like better because they don't have all the stuff in their food like we do. So in general, everything tastes
Everything
way
tasted
better.
way better.
But yeah, I mean, like I'm just kind of sad we never went over before now.
Yeah. No, we'll
I
be
mean,
back.
it's only been 5 years.
We'll be
But
back. They hooked me up with I was able to get the Lucky Larson ball, and I can't wait to drill that and do a ball review for you guys about it. But yeah, I mean that ball like seemed to roll pretty sweet for the guys that were throwing it out there. So
yeah,
can't wait to throw it over here, see what it does. But again, shout out to them. It was a absolutely phenomenal tournament. Congratulations to AJ Johnson for getting his first title. That was pretty sweet to see. And obviously he is the epitome of hard work and staying patient, waiting for his time, and now he got his first title, and it really just opens up the floodgates for him for sure. So I'm excited to see what he does next year, and yeah, and then we'll be back next year.
yeah.
That's the goal. So
Yeah, it's funny, last second I pulled out the ball I was going to bring to practice because I told Nate that honestly, like with everything that had happened, I would have just bowled just to bowl a squad just to say that one of us bowled. But I took my ball out last
It's
minute
fine. It's okay.
and decided not to bring it.
We got to see the country, eat great food,
Yeah.
and be there with good people. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
think, I mean, that
amazing.
catches up a lot of that. You know, what else you want to talk about?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, we could talk about what's happening over here stateside for one. You know, the RPI is coming to a close here soon. Um,
Yeah.
I think we have 4 regular events and a doubles event left, so 5
Yeah.
regional titles still up for grabs. At least in the South. I mean, for the South, we've had plenty of tournaments. I think if we have 5 more, and we've already bowled 11, 16 events, 15 of them count for the RPI. So, I mean, that's a huge step up from last year and the year before. You know, we have had so many more tournaments to bowl and new
Yeah.
locations to be at and more people to see. I think it's been awesome for the
I was
regional
gonna
program.
Yeah, talking about that, like, so obviously in question has been like your season,
Yeah.
okay? And I honestly, so this is my opinion, like when it comes to like a lot of sports or in general, that like the more like events there is, the more like the better bowlers. It's kind of like on the women's tour, like when we had like a lot of events, back in the day where we had more like 9 to 10 events, like back to back to back to back to back, like where it's just like it's more about like the endurance and like actually like staying like ready.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that has been the difference for your season compared to like if people are like, oh, why was Nate not good last season or the season before? I think the fact that it's like there's been not as much breaks where it's like you are the person that like you're still bowling when there's like literally back to back regionals.
Oh, yeah.
So like I think that has been the biggest difference for you is that there's more regionals to bowl, so there's no time in between where you're just getting better and better and better and better.
For sure.
And versus like other seasons where it's like you had one regional a month and it's
Mm-hmm.
like you were still working, but it's hard to it's not like the NFL where every week they know they have a game. So they're like, okay, what's my plan? What am I doing like to get ready for my peak performance on Friday? I think you do better in an environment where it's like every single thing you're doing like throughout the week is like for something bigger.
Right.
Like not that I know you take to heart like everything,
Yeah.
but like in general, like I think having so many different regionals and having like a goal every single week, which obviously you wanted player of the year, you want to make the RPI like you have the last 2 years. I personally think that that's been the difference and why you broke out a little bit more this year is that you've had so many different like regionals to
For
bowl
sure.
to put yourself in the chance to win
For sure.
versus where you've had like 4 or 5 throughout a whole season and you're just kind of like, all right, I got 5 regionals this year to kind of win.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely been way better than last year. I felt like last year was a very big disappointment. I mean, I did make it towards the end. I finished, I want to say 5th
yeah,
at the RPI last year. It was in my strong suit for one, but I literally came back from barely making the advancers round to then shooting, I think, 200 something over to advance to the top 16, 720 to advance to the top 8, and then I couldn't ask for anything more. I shot 520 for 2 to almost make the show, and I jumped into 5th. So to get the automatic to go to the RPI, regardless of points, was fine. I was in with points, even though I was like 11th in points because there was a lot of national guys or people that didn't bowl the entire season in our region that last year. But still, I did make a promise to myself last year that if I didn't finish in the top 5 in our region, that I really wouldn't bowl tour. So I kind of stuck to that, and I told you that like a lot that I wasn't really going to bowl tour, but I still went out there. I learned, I made a cut. through a PTQ. I bowled a lot of PTQs, and I either cashed in them, barely missed, or made it into the main field. And I think learning from out there, it was really halfway through that season that something clicked, something that I wasn't seeing properly on the lane opened my eyes to seeing ball motion a little bit better. And that definitely translated over into the regional season a lot better. Even though we threw a bunch of reactive, we really didn't throw urethane on the tour. Like, obviously in the main events they did, but like I didn't bowl the main events a lot of the time. We were bowling on crazier stuff like scorpion, dragon, shark, stuff to in the PTQ to get in, and then we would throw urethane here and there, but it was really a purple hammer fest whenever that happened. Like, not a lot of the guys that were on Storm that had pitch blacks like were making it in. So,
Yeah.
once we hit the regional season, I mean, I say it all the time, like, welcome to the South. Like, we're bowling on something short. We're bowling in a center that hooks a lot. So, yes, every single regional, and we bowled 11 right now, I have thrown a urethane ball. That's just the
kinda
nature of the
yeah, I was
sport.
gonna say. So I was like talking to someone about this the other day. Like, everyone's like, "Oh, you know, urethane's the reason why Nate's doing good." And it's like everyone's throwing urethane. Like, if freaking someone else was winning with urethane and doing really well, they would say the same thing. So it's like, of course, like it's like as you get to that level, like
People always
people
have to
like
have something to
they
say.
always wanted to say something about you
Yeah.
because you've been the guy who, like, Nate has like lost his shit. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there's been some times that I've had to walk out on you because I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Like, but I know it's passion, but at some point I'm like, okay, Nate, like, you need to calm down. Like, you can't act like that.
Oh, yeah, that
So
was
someone had,
years ago.
but like, you still had your moments, like
No,
even
yeah,
the
for
last.
sure. Like, it's like, I hate that one ball really like makes people's careers, but like that purple hammer does do it, and I'm not here to bash it or anything like that.
I
But
think
when I do
urethane in
see,
general has
yeah,
made
for sure. But when
careers.
I see somebody missing by arrows in the front and the
Yeah.
back, and they're still getting nine or striking, it's not that you
Yeah.
have good ball motion. It's really
Yeah.
it's just pure. I don't want to say pure luck, but you got lucky. Like, you're throwing that one ball that gives you that much freaking room, and you're not because there's points where you can have that and it's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
You
if
just
you're
don't see
on,
that with reactive.
you
You
don't see
can't
that
do
with
that.
reactive, or when you
You
do, it's
can't.
like
Everyone has that reaction.
everyone has
Yeah.
it. The better
Yeah.
bowlers have it.
I was gonna say, you see it on the women's tour, like with
Or
reactive.
when you take that away, when you take that ball away, and then they have to throw a reactive or a different urethane ball
Yeah,
or even plastic,
they're
they're
not.
dust.
Yeah.
So it's just
I
like,
think that that's what people are misunderstanding that do not bowl out on tour. Like, for those of you who don't really know me and Nate, but like before I met Nate, I did a lot of traveling on the men's tour with Kyle. And because they used to do like where the women and the PBA were like more conjoined. So they would do spots for the women to go to the World Series. And I bowled that twice, I think, when they had their own little show thing. And I used to, before the women's tour, bowl a lot of the men's regionals. So, like, for me, compared to a lot of women in general, I would say, like, there's probably maybe only 3 other women, honestly, that I can think of. And, like, they're the older ladies that have, I think, I don't want to, obviously, I'm not like winning regionals, but being out there and like understanding the game, like, I feel like I've seen a lot more than a lot of women in general because I've always just competed with the men, even at the higher level. And, like, what people don't understand is that when you're watching it and you're seeing like the difference in the game and how, like, even 5 years ago, there's some people that, like, I feel like are bowling now that, like, when I saw them bowling 5 years ago when they had to throw reactive on stuff, like, they weren't very good, and then all of a sudden they're good all of a sudden, like, because not even just one ball in general, but because urethane is like a thing
oh
where
yeah,
you have more miss room, especially with, like, if you can create all this power and high rev rate. That's where I think why you'll never see it on the women's tour be as successful,
yeah,
even for the women two-handers,
yeah,
because they're not creating the same power and rev rate that these guys are. And
yeah,
the way that the women break down the patterns, I just personally do not think that you'll see that be as big a factor. And I've seen women try to throw it and they don't. It works for like 1 or 2 games. It works
yeah.
for a purpose versus guys that can sit here and throw a urethane
Oh, for
ball
8 games, and
for
it's
eight
just like
games like that.
unreal.
And we're not talking on short. Like, I get it
Yeah,
on short. Back
yeah.
in the day, Cheetah, you used it to play up the
Oh, for sure,
boards.
absolutely.
So to like see it progressed, and like for me personally, like seeing it on the women's side, the men's side, the regional side, it's just like it is frustrating, that people are like, oh, Nate's only good because of urethane. But it's like, no, Nate's good because he hits his mark.
Well,
Because you
let's
were
even.
just as good with
Oh,
reactive.
100%. Let's see.
Like,
You can take both sides of it. So let's talk about the urethane thing for a second. Let's go back to when I won my title
which one?
this year,
Yeah.
Spring Hill.
Yeah. It is kind of funny that both of your
In
titles
the
are with urethane, but the
For
other one was
sure.
on Wolf. It was on Wolf. Like, you
Well,
had
I've
to.
had all three with urethane.
Well, I'm talking about your individuals.
Yeah,
Like, but the other one was with a motive ball. So
but
it's
it was
like,
urethane.
yeah, but
Yeah,
everyone had to throw urethane.
for
It's one of
sure. We
those
were
that,
on
like,
Wolf in the center of the hook. Yeah,
yeah.
whatever. But like,
Yeah.
so let's go back to the one in Spring Hill. In the round of 8, I was leading. There was 6 other people throwing a purple hammer, and then another person throwing a pitch black in 8th. Round of 4, I was leading. Everybody else was throwing a purple hammer. In the title match, I bowled someone with a purple hammer,
Yeah.
and I had a pitch black. Going into the regional with Walter, I was the only one, and there was Storm staffers there, throwing a pitch black.
Yeah.
And in the round of 8, no, not in the round of 8, in the round of 12, because it was 12 games of match play,
Yeah.
I was the only one throwing a pitch black.
I was to say, because Tom Hess was throwing
Tom
reality.
Hess was throwing reality, X2.
Which he, like, amazing that he was making
Yeah,
it, 'cause
100%. Like, he
you're-
had the nuts
yeah.
with reactive.
Yeah.
Whatever he was doing, there was no way that I could
But even Doherty was throwing reactive.
Yeah, he
like,
threw reactive and he threw a purple hammer.
Yeah.
But if everybody wants to sit the finger and point, oh, Nate's only good with urethane, I'm not throwing a purple hammer. I'm beating all these people, not to blow myself up, but
Yeah.
I'm beating all these people with a purple hammer. And usually, 9 times out of 10, you see somebody winning a tournament or doing very well with a purple hammer.
Unless you're Jesper.
Right, unless you're Jesper on the other side of the lane, whatever. But I'm
Yeah.
doing it with a pitch black.
Yeah.
The ball that is not superior to the purple hammer. So I have figured out a way
Yeah.
for my urethane ball
I don't even think
to
it's that.
shape and do the right thing, whereas people that just have a purple hammer, which I have gotten beaten by a purple hammer by millions of pins, by people that aren't really that good, that think they're that good, just because of that ball. And once they get out of that ball, they have no idea what to do.
I just thought of, like, going to this situation, like, I know it's like beating a dead horse, but in a way I do remember, like, I'm not going to say names, but do you remember when we were practicing with someone who they were like literally striking at will with the purple hammer?
Yep.
And I was like, oh, throw the black hammer that they had or whatever it was. And they were like, oh, I don't like that ball. And
No, they said I could just strike, I could strike just as much as with
they're
that
like,
ball.
oh, I can strike just as much as with the black hammer. And I'm like, okay, throw it. Like, literally, we're bowling on a house shot.
Yeah.
So, like, in the easiest, like,
Yeah.
lefty house, this was a lefty. And I'm not kidding. This person was, like, literally throwing it wherever they wanted and striking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then they used the black hammer in the same spot. And it was just like, strike
Bucket,
10
flat
pin.
7.
Yeah, like, it wasn't the same.
Yep.
And, like, so it was just funny that person in their mind, they were like, no, that I could strike just as much with this. And then it was like literally like,
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't even trying to be like an ass.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, can you just throw that ball? So I was like, if we're going to bowl against each other, don't throw the purple hammer. And
Right.
they're like, oh, I can beat you still. And it's like,
Right.
no.
But going back to the point, it's like everyone was saying, like, oh, he's only having a year because he's throwing urethane. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you can make that argument if I was throwing a purple hammer. Like, I think it takes a lot of time practicing, understanding layouts to have several pitch blacks that can get you there.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is create that shape that urethane ball
Yeah.
has over ours.
And it's the
I'm
same
not
thing with,
saying
like-
that mine had that shape, but
Yeah.
I was able to manipulate whatever pitch blacks I was throwing in order to create the shape that was going to give me the best chance to win.
Well, it's the same as like on the reactive side. Like every company has tried to do what Storm has done with reactive. So it's not to say like, every company has like something they're really good at. And that's something that Brunswick was able to do and perfect, which is really cool. Just like Motive has been able to do with like their balls, like have a better shelf
With
life.
the Venom Shock and,
Yeah,
all
like-
their balls like not cracking.
Yeah,
There's-
they don't, and that's fine. Like bowling balls crack, but whatever
Yeah.
Motive has been able to do, like for whatever reason, their balls like just don't crack as much
Right.
compared to any company. Like I've had
Yeah.
it doesn't, I mean, bowling balls crack. It is what it is. Like, it's the nature of like the curing process and everything. But, yeah, I mean, like, it's just, it's crazy to me that what people don't see is that it's like you literally have to hit your mark. Like, even with
You do.
urethane, like
And it's not even
you,
necessarily just, I'm going to hit 12 to 8. It's like you're understanding that obviously you have to be good at hitting your mark. You have to understand what your miss room is. You have to understand what the ball is doing. And if you're not reading proper ball motion, you can hit your mark all you want. You can go 13 to 5, but if you're throwing the wrong ball, you can get 6 one shot, strike the next, big four the next, like four through
yeah,
the middle, like all that stuff. If you're not understanding what your ball is doing and following transition as you keep going from pair to pair to pair and wondering and following who you're following,
yeah,
understanding what they're doing, and then translating that into your game, all those things have a factor in how you're going to score. And also, there's been regionals this year that I've thrown nothing but reactive and have been up there.
yeah.
So, you know,
Well, I
it's
was gonna
it's
say,
great that people say, whatever they want to say. I'll entertain it because it makes me bowl better. I'm not going to give you the time of day, but it makes me bowl better. It makes me keep, going out there and
well, I was
doing
gonna
what I'm
say,
doing.
like, what I think is cool, like, kind of going into like your season is like what I think is the difference with you and then like with me is like your tour allows everyone to bowl in your regionals. So it's like a good stepping stone because you'll get like Dick Allen, Tom Doherty, Tommy Jones, like EJ, these
Yeah.
guys bowling regionals. So like instead of having to like step into like a major tournament, you get to see like when you're winning a regional on your tour, like like for the most part, like
I think it was
you
well
were one of
earned.
the best, like you had to really, really earn it. Not that I'm
Yeah.
saying like the PWBA, like you still have to bowl well. Like the scores are high, but like I know if you let everyone bowl them, like the scores are going to be even higher. Like would I have? I've thought about this. Like would I have won my regionals if I got to bowl against all the best that wanted to bowl that week? And that is a question of mine that like I think has helped you get to that higher level is like when you're bowling, you don't, like I said, have to just go to the national tour to like test your skills.
Yeah.
Not to say like I understand that the women's tour is different, but like I do wish that there would be some regionals that were open to like everyone. So that way I'm not just having to bowl national events to test my skills to
Yeah.
see where I'm at.
To be fair though, I don't know if a lot of the top level girls would want to bowl
I
them.
think they would I
Maybe
think,
some of them, but I don't think a lot of them.
yeah, but I mean,
Because
just to
even the
have,
ones that are allowed don't choose to for
yeah,
whatever personal
but they haven't
reasons.
won a
But
title. I'm talking the ones have won because the
yeah,
ones that are bowling that are still like good are they not to be rude, but like even with me, like we haven't won a title. We haven't won against like the best of the best.
yeah,
So like it would be cool to have even in those stepping stones, like you guys have non-members, like no
yeah,
winners or
like
whatever.
non-champs,
That'd be
non-champs. Yeah,
cool if for me I didn't have to wait every year to
yeah,
bowl every national stop to still see some of the girls who like win titles.
right.
Like it would be cool to have that, like our regionals are a stepping stone, but you have a lot of people that they're going there because like they want to just bowl a regional because it's close to their home, which is cool. Like that is what regional should be. But I feel like it's, in my opinion, and like this is not me talking crap, this is just what comes down to sports, is like obviously the women like me and other women that are out there, even if we're not like making every TV show or making every cut, like we obviously have more experience. So when you have women that are like going from bowling on a house shot to
Mm-hmm.
bowling on the sport shot, even though they're a little bit easier than our national patterns,
Yeah,
I know that I'm going to be top 10 like that. And that's not being cocky, that just comes down to like having the experience
yeah,
and like knowing that like I just bowled against the best in the world, even if I'm only finishing like 35th out of 100, that's still really good on those hard patterns and averaging 200. But it is hard to make those cuts. So then it's like obviously if I can even finish top 30
yeah,
at a national event, like I know that there's 30 other women that are that good.
for sure.
So
And
like,
respectfully, you have to have that kind of confidence going out there because if you don't, you're going to get run over.
yeah,
You'll get run over. If
I
you don't
just,
have the firm belief, you'll
yeah.
never get there.
No, I'm just saying, like, I think for you, like, your journey to, like, the national tour, like, for guys in general, like, is, like, a little bit more where it's kind of, you kind of the stepping stone, like there is the stepping stone
Mm-hmm.
versus for me, I feel like it's like the regional tour is so like, again, not even for me, like I'm with my health and everything, like I'm not ready to be top 5 every week. I just know, and that's me like being honest with myself. Whereas like when I step into a regional because of how they are right now, like I in my mind know I should be top 4
Right.
just because I know if I can finish behind the top 30 every week, like 30th on tour is still like amazing. Like when I've bowled, like that's still hard to do because there's a reason why our scores are outrageous. Like all these girls are working so much harder. But I think that that's why your regional season has gone well is because you bowled well on the national tour and then you're still competing against guys that could literally win on the national tour,
100%.
like
I
in
mean,
the
even in
regional
the
tour.
not only within the region, but when we have those week or two off, I'm bowling every single weekend. So I'm bowling against the best that are on the regional tour or some national guys bowling local
Or
events.
JJ.
JJ, like bowling with JJ, that was awesome.
Or bowling against him,
Bowling
like,
against him is always awesome because you learn a lot. He's one of the best in the world. So to continually test your talents even when you're off of the regional tour that weekend is what has kept me prepared the entire time. I would go off the regional tour, bowl 2 tournaments a weekend, bowl against the guys that I see on the regional tour, which are doing very well in tournaments, and I know I still have to be on my A game. Well, at least if you want to make money. I never
yeah.
show up to a tournament just saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going to pace this week," and let's try to break even or whatever. So,
Yeah.
but
I
yeah,
mean,
it's been a great season so far, and we got 5 events, and as we're winding down, we're going to see what all the accolades lead up to, and hopefully stay up there so that I qualify for the RPI in January.
okay, so let's transition into like, I don't know, kind of like now that we've been kind of like in the YouTube world, like as a couple, which I still think is hilarious because like we've never really talked about this story.
Yeah.
You know what story I'm about to tell too. So if you guys have been here from the beginning, like I started this channel as like a funny thing that I did. If you want to go check it out, it's still on our channel. I did bikini bowling and it was really fun. It was during like a weird period in my life. Not like why I did it. Like I had told Storm I was gonna do it. I talked to my sponsors, like whatever. I don't think anyone thought it was gonna like be as
Explode off the
yeah.
rip.
Like I didn't even think so myself. Like a lot of people like who don't know me from like a young age, like I've always been kind of like myself.
Yep.
I've always just kind of like I don't like to be the center of attention, but like I'm like I just like don't mind being like off the wall, kind of like if something comes to my brain. Like I just thought it'd be a really fun idea. Like bowling is kind of like stuck in this like I don't know, like we're trying to be something we're not. I don't feel like and I don't know why it is, but like everyone kind of has like you have to have this image in bowling or whatever. So like I started this YouTube with the thought that like I was like, oh, I'm just gonna put out a video that's never been done and still hasn't been done, and I don't think will ever be done again because people have this stigma of like one, they were used to seeing women who were just not attractive, I guess, to like what we feel like athletes are. And so I wanted to just put it out there being like, there's so many women that bowl that are athletes and are training and are pretty and like, everyone's version of pretty is different. But like I think a lot of people thought, and I didn't get like any bad feedback, but a lot of people thought I was trying to be like sexy. But I'm like, if you watch the video, like I am the least sexy person. I am such a dork, and like kind of going into like assumptions, like just because of like how I look or like what my body type is, like they like I'm not allowed to do it, which
Yeah.
so like going back to like kind of what I'm talking about is like building the YouTube, like it was literally just supposed to be a fun thing. And then I kind of just some personal things happened and I got into where my mom passed away in 2020, and I just was like, and which was like shortly after, because all that started right before COVID happened, and then everything with my mom happened like kind of towards the end, not because of COVID, but for other things. So like the YouTube wasn't like anything on my mind. Like we were monetized and everything, but like I was like I don't care about social media.
Right, right.
As much as like I enjoy doing this stuff because I
Yeah.
enjoy like sharing my life, and I think I enjoy this because like I know us personally, whether people think it or not, like we're very real, like we're showing
Yeah,
everything,
absolutely.
nothing's fake. And that's what I hate about social media is that it's like, you know, me and Nate aren't gonna have a fight, and I'm not gonna like post I love you on
Yeah,
Facebook.
no,
Like
we're
I'm
not
just
like
not
that.
that. But it comes with like everything. Like, like people are like, how do you edit your photos? Like what app? I'm like, I didn't. I took it off my photo reel. Like
And
whether
threw
I
it
look
on
fat
there.
or not, like I don't care. Like that's literally what
Right,
I do.
right,
Like, cause my thing is at the end of the day, whatever I show on social media, someone's gonna see me in person and be like, that's not her,
right.
like, or
But
person.
but it is because you're real
Yeah,
about it.
exactly.
Right.
So like whether it's good or bad, like which with the bikini bosses thing, like I knew people were gonna judge me, and I'm not gonna lie, like I was having a heart attack. But then I realized like I know my true intentions for it was to literally be like, bowling is fun, like go and do it. Like
Right. Just
women
kind of to
like
spread a positive message and
yeah.
like, women empowerment of like you shouldn't be ashamed of how you look.
Or like being a bowler in general, like
Right.
so much like growing up, I would get that like, oh my God, you're a bowler? There's no way. And it's like, why? Like,
Right,
oh,
right.
women don't look like you that bowl. And I'm like, there's so many women that look like me that bowl. And I hope like more women see that now, like as I've gotten older and people like understand that like I literally did that to help women's bowling.
For
Like it
sure.
wasn't to be the elite show. It was to be like bowling is fun. Bowling's out here. Like obviously got people's attention, and maybe one day I'll do it again. It'll be fun
Yeah.
when I'm not like the Michelin man.
Stop
But
it.
but anyway, so like I started the channel doing that, and then like 6 months ago, I guess 8 months ago now, well like 6 months
No, it's like
ago,
6, 7.
um, I guess I wasn't doing the YouTube during this time, but I had hurt myself shortly after my mom passed, and so I was going through that. I hurt my back, and then, like I said, I wasn't doing the YouTube at all. And then finally, Nate was getting into more of like bowling bigger events and like getting into stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm hurt. I literally wasn't bowling at this time. So I was like, well, I'll just start videoing. And like, Nate was not about it. He was
I
like,
wasn't.
I'm not Brad and Kyle. I'm not a YouTuber. And because like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm so proud of you. You've finally given some personality because Nate is like this like pretty shy. Like
Yeah.
he keeps to himself. So I was like, Nate, like come on. Like I try to video of him, and he'd be like, get the video out of my face. Like I'm just trying to bowl, and I'm like, okay, like whatever.
Well, just to put
So
it in perspective, really, like, it is a lot. If you are trying to bowl and hit the record button and throw a shot and focus on, yourself, who you're bowling with, transition, ball changes, da da da, da, the list goes on.
but
It
even when
was
I was
very,
just doing it,
it
you
was
were like,
very
I
overwhelming at first. We just kind of dove right into it and whatever because
he
even
actually got mad at me at the RPI because there I was so it was like the RPI last year was when we first started like doing the videos,
if you
and
haven't checked out that video, go
yeah,
watch it.
so
Trevor's on the cover. He shot 300 on it. Go watch it.
yeah, twice actually. But it was funny because I did the first video where we were at Simo's place where we Nate shot 300 in the like mansion.
Yeah.
And so I did that video, and then the next day I was like, you know what, I'll do like the practice video, and then like I would try to do it the next day. And Nate was like bowling, and I was editing the video, and he like wasn't bowling well, and I was still standing like right behind him, and
Shooting
I
150,
whatever, and I was like
got
editing.
nothing.
I was editing the video, and he straight came back, and he's like, oh, you're just gonna stand there and not help me? And I'm like, I'm editing the video, like.
Sorry.
But it's just like funny, like looking back, that like Nate like really didn't want to do the YouTube because he wanted to obviously just focus on bowling. But I was like, we're already bowling,
Right.
like we're
It
traveling.
was just
Like
very hard to hit the record button and all that stuff and like try to stay in the moment. But it got easier with her recording shots, with us doing the live streams. Without your guys' support, none of that would exist. So we really appreciate that.
yeah,
But
like if it wasn't for you guys pushing the like button, like I would have done it even
that,
if I had
watching the
100
live
followers.
streams, like it's
Nate really needed the proof of like Nate's more of
Not
like
necessarily needed the proof.
no,
It was
you're the
just
person
like,
like you need to know that you're not wasting your time.
right. I
Like
didn't want to
Nate's
waste
like
anyone's
yeah.
time. I didn't want to waste our time, your
Yeah.
time, whatever. So it was a little sketch at first, but you guys have shown nothing but love, so we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And it's been great. But
But yeah, I've been joking with him
yeah,
since the beginning that I'm gonna make shirts that say "I'm not Brad and Kyle" because that was his
right.
quote. He's like, "I'm not Brad and Kyle."
Well, shout out to Brad and Kyle. We need to do a collab.
Yeah, shout out to them. I love them. They're both great people. Kind of like that's kind of like what I want to talk about is like why we. So once I started the channel, like why we're here is because like I wanted to create something that was like more raw. Like I know content creators they show like oh how to bowl, how to do this, or they
Or
do
the
the
trick
the
shots or
funny stuff.
whatever.
Like
Like, you
no
know,
one really shows like kind of like the everything that kind of involves like for what we're doing, especially because like I think a lot of people in the beginning like had, especially because we were in the mansion and we were traveling and went to all these nice places and like whatever. Like I know it was like kind of like on the spot type of thing where people are like, how do you do this? How do you afford this? Like, how is it possible to make this much money bowling? And it's like, we kind of took that and we're like, this is why we're showing, like, we wanted to show everything because, you know, like everything that we do put in our vlogs is for a purpose to show, like, this is like literally what it takes to be a professional or an
for
amateur
sure.
like athlete in
And
the
I know there's
bowling
more stuff that
industry.
we could be doing. Obviously, we're on a little bit of a break right now, but, you know, don't bet against me because when I do come back, it's going to be a lot harder, a
Yeah.
lot. I'm going to take it more serious. If you thought I was already taking it serious before, I'm not even. It's not even close. So,
I think the similar thing happened to me with my back. Like I was already like healthier, obviously, because that's how I hurt my back was working out. But I think like during that time, it was good because it forced me to like, I was kind of like in Nate's position. Obviously, being a woman's a little different. So before I hit 30, like I was like, oh, I'm healthy. I can do whatever I want. Like this and that. So like when I got injured and like it was a good thing, but like I always struggled gaining weight. And so when I started gaining weight, I'm like, okay, this is good because now I have a foundation to like build more strength. But I was like, okay, I need to be more careful about like the fact that me and Nate drank like 3 gallons of milk a week together, just because dairy is not as good for you as you get older. And, we cut out soda during that time, which was a battle with Nate. But
it was, but we got over it very quickly.
yeah, and now we're like free from soda for a year or so now, and we kind of like him. Like like I said, when I went through my back injury, I took my health for granted a little bit. I think before because I never had health issues, so now like I came back every when I could, trying to work even harder, and I know with this maniac over here.
Me or the dog?
No, you like with your he's gonna drive me crazy and gonna be even more insane, which is good. Like, but there's got to be a balance.
There's definitely a balance.
Yeah,
There is a lot of sacrifice that comes with bowling. I'm very lucky that she understands that. But you only have one life to live, one career to fulfill, and if you don't put everything that you have towards that in the prime that you do have, you're going to miss out on that window. So obviously there's a balance with enjoying life, seeing places, meeting new people, but
I think
you
the
know,
simple fact is like a lot of people, because like I said, we just started doing our journey. If we would have showed you guys where we were like 5 years ago,
it would have been a complete
like
embarrassment.
well, it's not even that. Like, people are like, oh my God, like, mommy and daddy are paying for you, or like this and that. And like, it's actually funny. I thought about this the other day. Like, we've had comments about like us being able to afford or this and that. And it's like, just because we're bowling, one, you don't know what we're making.
Yeah.
And two, even like I had some people like comment or message me personally being like, I make more than this, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, but you don't know my lifestyle versus yours. Like, I don't need $1,000,000 to be happy.
For sure.
And I think that's what people don't understand is that, like, in this day and age, you have all these people that make millions of dollars on YouTube or like doing social media and this and that, or like you see, again, it kind of goes back to like where social media like shows this things that it's like, who am I trying to impress?
Right.
Like at the end of the day, when we're just sitting on this couch and it's just me and Nate, like I don't need all these nice things. Like all the trips we go on is for bowling. Like we're
Right.
not really going on vacation. So all the money that
I could just
we
gladly say that, number one, just speaking for myself because I'm not going to speak for you, but number one, I've earned every single thing that I've gotten out of bowling. I've earned it on my own. I've worked hard for it. Nothing
yeah,
has been a handout.
yeah,
And number two, I can gladly say that I've worked for every single thing that I've been able to afford in my life, whether
yeah,
it be a new car, a new TV, a new couch, a new bed, a house to live in, whatever. I earned that. I
yeah,
didn't have help to get it. I've worked hard to get it, and I just hope to be an inspiration for that one kid that's watching this, or that one person that's losing any type of motivation to do something, is go after what you want. Go after the dreams that you have, because eventually it's going to pay off. And you're going to hit
yeah.
bumps along the way like I am currently, but it's all about how you respond to that and how you go on the other side of that.
Like, yeah,
So,
5 years ago, we were literally living
my
off of,
God.
like, we barely had enough money to eat
Mm-hmm.
because we were taking all the money we had for us to bowl. Like, we weren't going to nice places. We were, eating nice. We were literally like, do we have enough money to eat McDonald's? Back when
Right.
McDonald's was actually $1.
Right.
But
Now
like
a
we
drink
wouldn't
is
be able to afford.
250.
Yeah, we
Like,
would be honest. If this was us 5 years ago, me and Nate would be living in a cardboard box because we wouldn't have been able to even afford McDonald's.
yep.
But it was because we weren't willing to like give up on the fact that both of us wanted to bowl or have some type of impact in the bowling industry, whether it was us bowling or doing coaching or whatever. So like that's the only reason why we got to where we were is we were willing
Yep.
as a couple, which obviously that is a big factor in it, that we both found someone who was willing to. We were both willing to like absolutely eat shit
Mm-hmm.
for however long it took, even when
We had another
like we
person
had family members
understand.
telling us like, hey, maybe
Right.
you shouldn't
A
bowl
lot of
anymore.
people told
Like,
us to quit. A
yeah,
lot of
not
people
quit,
told
but
me to.
it's
Well,
like,
a lot of people
why
told
are
me like,
you
"Why are you
doing
doing it? You
this?
should
Yeah,
quit. You should get a job." Or, just growing up, no one ever thought that I was good, and that's fine.
yeah.
To this day, I don't think I'm like high and mighty or think I'm the best, but
I feel
I'm gonna
like
keep working
also
at
when
it.
you've like worked so hard and everyone's like crapped on you, it's easy to feel that way. Like it's not even, I think, entitlement. It's just like if people literally knew everything that we've gone through or has been said about you or like been put down or like whatever, like I feel like people would understand more why you feel the way you do or
Right.
why you have acted the way you have
Oh yeah,
acted.
absolutely. And
But kind of like the
it's
same reason, like, sorry, not to cut you
no, you're
off, but I
good.
thought about this when a couple months ago, like, I was going through the worst period of my life. And, like, I just remember, like, reading comments on YouTube being like, oh, you suck, you're trash. And then, like, for a while, I think this was before the YouTube started, I had someone literally harassing me, sending me, like, horrible messages and this and that. And, like, they started harassing my friends through private messages or, like, anonymous. And, like, it started to get to me. But then, like, when I had that moment of, like, all those
It's
comments,
just
and then
straight jealousy.
but then I won my regional, and I'm like, I had a friend who called me, and I just like broke down because she was just like, I just thought about you, and like I was wondering how you were doing, and it made me like realize that it's like through all of the shit that people were saying that don't even know what I'm going through, like I was able to like, yes, it affected me, but I was able to turn that everything that was affecting me and like the worst of the worst and turn it into like what I could do good for myself, and I was still able to accomplish like what I did in Ohio and like win my second regional. Like if anyone knew what I was going through at that point, like I could literally sit here and I could have made a post
There were
talking
days
about,
where I looked at you and I'm like, girl, how the hell are you doing it?
yeah, and
How
like,
are you doing it? And I'm over here complaining about some dumb shit.
yeah, and it's not even that. Like I was obviously like myself, like not complaining, but I'm just like, can I just have something go right? And I realized that right thing was that like I needed to go and bowl and do the thing that I love the most. And then I look back at those comments and I'm just like, it's funny that people can sit here and say stuff when they like don't even know. And I was still, even if it was just winning a regional, and people are like, oh, it's just a regional. But it's like, if you even had an idea what I was going through at that time, and I was still able to like get on a plane by myself, you know. And then a lot of people don't know this, but like I didn't bowl the practice session. My roommate ended up leaving because she got hurt. Like, so I was literally by myself and was able to like bowl well in the major event and then win the regional the next day. Like, it just like all makes more sense. And then to have my friend just like sit there and be like, I was thinking about you, and it made me realize like when we were having that conversation, and she's like, wow, like you went through all of that and you were still able to do this, even if it was a little feat to someone. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a national title, but like
Oh yeah.
in that moment it meant everything,
Yep.
because I got through some of the hardest parts of my life and still
Oh yeah.
accomplished that. So it
Absolutely.
doesn't matter if it was a regional
No, it
or
doesn't.
whatever.
Anything. It could have been, winning anything. When you win, just knowing that everything that you went through to get to that spot is more gratifying. So,
Well, and like, like that, the sweeper, I averaged 266. Like,
gross.
it wasn't even that I averaged 266, because like I even know you looked at me like later in the day. You're like, do you know
Do
what
you
you did?
yeah, you
Like,
didn't realize what you did.
I think for me,
You're like, oh, I left so much out there. It wasn't that impressive. I'm like, go, first of all, we
yeah,
have it all
like,
on video. Go look at that. Second, go look at your games
yeah, it's just like,
and then average that out. Like,
but it
are you crazy?
like now thinking about it, like I was going through so much that it just meant so much to me. Like, I literally hadn't bowled in 3 weeks. I went to that sweeper not wanting to even bowl, and you're like, just bowl for fun. I was even arguing with the manager to give me pins because everyone else got pins. So I was like, give
Yeah.
me 3 pins based
Right,
on my
something,
average.
whatever.
They didn't give it to me, but then I shot 300 and then bowled what I did. Like, I was just so grateful that I was even able to like shoot over 200 because of everything that was still going on in my life, and I
Yeah.
hadn't bowled, that I was just like, this is why we're here. This is why I do everything I do. It's not to be like, oh my God, I averaged 266. I was like, it just felt nice to win something and like
Right,
prove to
right.
yourself that
You could
all
do
these
something.
comments and people that are in my head, like, even if I'm not winning every national tour stop or winning every regional or like whatever, not many people can just go to an event like going through. And I wish I was the type of person that could sit here and want sympathy on social media
Yeah.
and like just post like literally the horrifics of everything that
Oh,
has
for
gone
sure.
on the last 6 months of my life and still be here. Like,
For sure.
I look at those comments and the nasty comments and I'm just like, that's just more motivation, because
I love it.
it's just, you have no idea. Like, yes, what we're posting is real on social media and we don't like sugarcoat anything, but it's
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to come on here and tell you every horrible thing that happens
Absolutely.
on a daily.
And it's just like you said, those comments. For me, it fuels me. You're not gonna break me. And this isn't necessarily about us. Use this for a message for yourself. Is like, don't let anybody break you. Don't let anybody get under your skin. Don't let anybody, take what you love away from you and the things that you do in order to get there. Because at the end of the day, they're jealous. They want what you have, or they're just not that guy or that girl. And you take that, you run with it, you use it as motivation, and you continue to just build off of it. So that's enough from us. It's been a
Yeah.
great podcast.
Hopefully nothing but good things.
Yeah, I know it was a lot about our personal experiences, but hopefully we can give you some of our personal experiences so that you can relate to them, or when you face a situation that is tough to overcome, that you remember this video and you take something away from it. Because at the end of the day, that's just what we want to do. We want to make a difference. We want to give you guys, something to lean on when times are tough. So I think that's it. We're going to wrap it up. Our dog's asleep.
Yeah.
Just had a good nap. You all right, baby? You had a good nap?
We finally have furniture.
Yeah, we got
So,
furniture, TV, nice setup.
Yeah.
So, new home.
We are working on setting up our podcast
studio.
area.
Yep.
Studio, obviously.
It'll be coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon. So this will be the last one that you'll kind of see us just chilling in our living room
Yep.
for now.
At 7,000, we're giving away a bowling ball. So
Yes.
make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Share this with your friends. Get as many people in here as you can so you guys can be eligible for the giveaway. Every 1,000 subscribers we have, we're giving stuff away. So do not miss out. Hit that subscribe button. Like. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.